And we are live. Welcome to episode 105.
Yep, episode 105, going over the UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Xiaonan. And obviously, we're going to start with the prelims, as we always do here on the Beefy Boys Breakdown. And yeah, man, I mean, I thought we were pretty stoked for the prelims. You could debate. I was looking forward to the prelims more than the main card, main event aside. But which I didn't have a problem with the main event. I saw some people hating on Twitter, like, not even in retrospect, just saying that, like, oh, this is a trash main event. Like, you could say it's a trash card. I have no problems with the main event itself or the fact that they headlined. I really don't.
I kind of thought they were perfect to headline a fight night. I didn't
Me
have any
too.
problem with the main event. It made full sense as a main event. I
Yeah,
didn't love the co-main. I actually
yeah.
hated the card placement of the co-main.
The co-main and the featured match, which leads me to, like I said, I was pretty much just as stoked, if not more stoked, on the prelims than I was the main card leading into it, and pretty much it delivered on that. What we had multiple, four bonuses handed out on the prelims, all five bonuses handed out on the prelims.
Is
So
that right? I forgot to look
that's
up all the. Or I do have them right here on the list. I just haven't looked through them.
all on the prelims.
Wow.
Every single prelims fight got a bonus.
Oh wow, that's crazy. All six.
So
Damn.
ton of finishes. Which that's a blessing and a curse when there's a lot of finishes because it just leads to so much filler when you're watching it live. Now, if you're rewatching the card, you get all the fast forward time and all that, then like yeah, it's great. But watching it live, it's a double-edged sword when you get like six finishes in a row because you're just getting just like high promos and just like shooting it back to the studio to Joe Ban and the boys and
Yeah,
like just
the fact there were like 30 minutes between one of the fights because there were like three consecutive early finishes, I was just like, oh, yeah. Then Joe
it's
Mannions
tough.
are having to make all their picks and break down fights like three times over.
Definitely rough. But I said hard to complain, man. These fighters delivered. I'm starting off jerking the curtain with Randy Costa versus Guido Canetti, and this will can start the theme of
Us
really
eating
this whole
shit.
episode. Yeah, eating all the dicks at the sports books. Which man, the past two cards, I'll eat shit at the sports book, but do decent on verdict. So like my overall picks aren't that dog shit. I'm just picking the wrong fights to bet. Like I'll pick a lot of correct fights just in my picks and in my notes and in my research, but I'll just pull the trigger on the wrong ones. I just
How
it,
frustrating
it,
is that, too, man?
it's frustrating because it's not like I'm just like clueless or just I'm pissing in the wind. Like I'll go about 65% on my picks about every week, but then I'll just bet the wrong ones. You know what I mean? It's tough, but life of a sports bettor, it's tough. An unpredictable sport in MMA. We got Randy Costa minus 265 fighting Guido Canetti plus 225, and I'll get out the old spoon to eat it with because this was essentially our lock of the week, man. We loved us some Randy Costa. We just made our preview pick, gambling kind of preview show a few days ago, and we were jerking off Randy Costa, shitting on Guido Canetti, and it didn't go down that way, man. This fight lasted a minute and 4 seconds and did not go our way or Randy Costa's way for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the last time we broke down a Guido Canetti fight, we had talked about how he was Guido Canetti, capital Can. Well, that was clearly not the case last night. He essentially got that nice little just Russian grappling, like standing clinch control, got Costa to turn his back, took him to the floor, and sunk in the choke with no hooks. I mean, it was.
No hooks, so quick.
Honestly, it made me think that Costa didn't do a very good job at all.
Oh, exactly. Like I leave this fight super down on Costa, not just because he lost, but he looked clueless. Like he didn't even know what was like happening to him. Like he didn't drill that position. Like you know what
Right.
I mean? Like,
Or he was like
and
he was too calm. Like it looked like he was like actually drilling instead of just like being in the fight. Like he didn't react fast enough. He didn't
he
care
didn't
enough
react
that he
at
was
all.
giving up his back. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, like once it got to the clinch and transition and ground, I mean, he just looked lost. He looked, multiple steps behind. And he wasn't able to keep the distance with his striking, which he's known for striking. Fighting a 42-year-old guy, I mean, minus two or 2.5 to 1 favorite. I mean, you got to deliver in that spot. I believe that's three L's in a row.
Yeah.
And before this one, like I said, Guido Canetti, yeah, he looked better, but I'm still not like high on him. And it's like, yeah, the Yanez fight is easy to explain away. Tony Kelly to a lesser degree than Xiaonan, but still a tough opponent. Now Guido Canetti, 3 L's in a row. I honestly think he needs to go somewhere and get some seasoning, and that's not like
Me too.
a hater. Like, I actually like Randy Costa a lot. And just, if you don't believe me, go back and watch our last video. We stroked him off, and like, but he needs to go to LFA or one of these places and get a couple wins, develop some transition skills, some defensive grappling, some takedown defense.
He's got to do something, man. He's got to figure it out. Because his striking is fluid and it looks good, but he puts himself in so many stupid spots where I'm just like, Randy Costa, man, like, why are you fighting in this position? Why are you subjecting yourself to this?
Like, he's not the biggest bantamweight in the world. Do you think there's any way in hell he makes 25? I mean,
no, I don't think so. I think
right,
that's probably too dry. That'd be like the
cut.
Figueiredo thing. Like, Figueiredo wouldn't be the biggest bantamweight, but he is definitely the biggest flyweight.
For sure, man. It's tough. Yeah, and then as far as Guido Canetti, you know, everybody, he got the bonus. Good for him at his spot in his career, you know. Happy for him. Like I said, I'm not trying to take away from him, but he was talking about, I don't have much time for a title run, and people are saying a lot of nice things about Guido Canetti, which is great. He deserves them. He performed great, but I'm not there with it, like, you know, as far as like projecting futures, especially in the bantamweight division. Now, is he proven to be a tougher night out and maybe not, you know, such a can? Eddie, his record is brutal, though. I liked how he used his mic time to kind of try to get his brother over. He has a brother trying to get into the UFC.
That was a good move.
Yeah, you know, I like the guy. Nothing personal. I'm just not like shoveling any coal into Guido Canetti hype train. Like, they're trying to like, yeah. I mean,
I think solid, like lower tier UFC roster holder. Like, I don't have a problem with him remaining in the UFC for 2 or 3 more fights even, but I don't think he has any like progression towards the top 15
like
at this point.
And this will be relevant later in the card, but he can be like the bantamweight Francisco Trinaldo. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
a lot of similarities there.
A lot of seasoning.
A lot of too much seasoning. Over too little salty, but we can keep it pushing, man. We got Julia Stoliarenko, -125 favorite, fighting Chelsea Chandler, not Chelsea Handler, but Chelsea Chandler.
I made that joke so long last night to Kenneth and Eric. They just had no idea. Then I was like, you know the girl from E! Channel? And then when they introduced the fight, Megan O'Leary starts talking about how she like went to high school and was like a standout in this. And I was like, this sounds like an E! Channel introduction though, right?
Well, yeah, no, my wife heard it. She was like, what is Chelsea Handler there? Like, no, Chelsea Chandler's fight. But making her debut, +105 dog. This is a fight that we both said pretty much stay away from the betting, because it's like Stoliarenko is not really somebody you want to like bet on, invest in, be super dauber up on. But at the same time, Chelsea Chandler had like 4 or 5 pro fights. Not enough. We didn't know enough about her. Now it turns out she's absolutely fucking massive.
Yeah, probably, she was the biggest chick. I didn't realize she was from Stockton either. It became immediately apparent in the first 3 steps she took. Like, oh, that's definitely a chick from the hood.
Oh, definitely. And like she's huge and like athletic huge, right? And like Titus is like, what the fuck? I'm not a prop, dude. but man, so huge. I mean, she could probably fight at lightweight, probably should be fighting at featherweight. This fight takes place at a 140 catch weight. And let's break down the X's and O's. Like, I mean, it ain't gonna take us long. And then this is going to lead us into the same talk we always have, but I want to have it again, and I want to beat the drum about the women's featherweight division, because like something has to be done.
That's the notes at the end of my notes. That's what I address here. Also, I do love to hate Stoliarenko after she broke our parlays, so I was cheering for Chelsea Chandler, but it did look like a Goliath-sized woman against a clearly 135 woman.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, Chandler it is her debut, +105. Stoliarenko, the longtime vet, at -125. To me, man, the simple explanation of this fight before we dive deeply into it is that one girl just was bigger and bullied the other girl. Like, it looked like
really
is
bullied. That doesn't happen every time a bigger fighter fights a smaller fighter. Like, it may sound like we're oversimplifying it, or, surely something more was going on there, but I swear to God, like, she would try to take her down, and it looked like me trying to take down like Albert Hainsworth. Like, it just literally she would just lean her weight the other way,
like literally,
and like just fall on top of the girl that was trying to take her down. That happened twice. Second time, they didn't get back up. I'm also talking size, right? Like, size doesn't always in MMA equal like success. However, every time, I mean, the power differential was just huge. I mean,
Very
just
clear.
huge reaction every time something would land from, whenever Chandler would land on Stoliarenko, huge reaction. Just, and then the other way, whenever Stoliarenko would have some success, it would be like just me going and punching a brick wall. Like the brick wall ain't gonna move. Like seriously, like it was David versus Goliath. I mean, say that's oversimplifying it if you want. That's what happened. I mean, when it was in the striking, size was a huge difference. When it came to the grappling, the transitions, and the takedowns, size was a huge difference. I mean, it's hard for me to take away more than that from this.
I totally agree with that. I thought that Chandler did seem to have pretty strong grappling skills, but then I started thinking about it and I was like, well, of course, the place she trains at is Nate Diaz's Caesar Gracie, like Baja Jiu-Jitsu or whatever it is. So
yeah,
makes sense
definitely.
that grappling would be her strong point and that she just has that crazy tough mentality. I saw so much of the Diaz's in her. It's very apparent that's like the modality of that camp.
No, it's sick. And like I think she's marketable. I think she can go on to have a lot of success, but I mean, she ends up getting the what was it, a ground and pound TKO at 4 minutes and 15 seconds. She reversed the takedown. Like I said, just kind of stuffed it with size, transitioned to mount, landed with the big power that we've been talking about. So I mean, that's how the fight actually took place. But I really do feel like it's less important than like the, zoomed out kind of macro conversation we got to have here about the women's featherweight division, because it's a real problem for not only her. Like, we have this marketable young killer in Chelsea Chandler, dope. I mean, I think she could go on to do a lot of great things. However, I mean, she said herself, I mean, she was like, well, I will fight at bantamweight, but that's not my real weight class. And without really saying it, I mean, she called out a couple names, which good for her. No other featherweight does.
Yeah, the Norman Dumont call out was great because who's the
Great.
woman standing next closest to the 145 shot? It's Dumont. So take her out, get one more win, maybe get a title shot in 3 fights.
Literally, could definitely happen. And we talk about all the time that more women probably should attempt that, especially the ones that struggle to make bantamweight.
I loved it. I loved the call, what she had to say on the mic afterward.
But she was also kind of saying, without saying it, but not saying it, how, yeah, like, I want to fight at featherweight, but there's like this weird thing with the featherweight. Like, she didn't come out and say it, but she was beating around the bush about how, like, I'm probably going to have to take fights at bantamweight because of, like, she wouldn't straight up say it, but I don't know. I feel like she was kind of hinting at, beating around the bush, the same thing that we always talk about. Like, it's not a real division. Obviously, she's not trying to, piss off her new employer or rub Dana the wrong way by saying that, but...
Or potentially put down her future division in which she operates in.
Exactly, but it's true, and she's not wrong for feeling that way. She probably will have to take a couple fights at bantam, catch weight, probably miss weight a couple of times, but, like, we always say more fighters should just be featherweights, and then it would kind of solve itself on its own. It's a big gamble for these fighters to kind of like put their career, their usually fairly short career, where they're trying to maximize earning, and put all their eggs in this women's featherweight basket, which is like dicey. I mean, there's a couple of fights a year in that division, right? I mean, a couple, like literally.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
we see probably 5 a year.
Less than 10 women's featherweight fights a year. And there's no rankings for the division. I mean, and then, okay, your reward for having success in this weird division is to fight, the lioness.
Amanda Nunes, who's just the greatest women's mixed martial artist.
And it's tough. Like, I understand why these women don't want to do it, but it's like, man, if they could all go meet somewhere on the beach, pass a doobie around, crack a beer, and like 10 of these bigger bantamweights and just kind of make a pact, like, let's go, like
we're not staying down. We're going to our comfortable weights.
And like just take some fights at featherweight. Hell, take some fights against each other at featherweight. You know what I mean? And just build the division. And also, I'm putting a lot of the blame on the fighters. Like, how the UFC fumbles this bag. I mean, there's no reason to not want it. Like, why would you not want one more profitable, marketable division? Like, I don't understand it.
And it's not watering down the weight classes because it's the division at the end. Like, you're not adding an in between, like a 130-pound class in between 25 and 35 and trying to steal fighters there. Like, you're literally just opening it to recruit more women that aren't even in the UFC because they could never make 35.
Exactly. And the archaic mentality of people don't want to see these big ladies fight. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's not true
I
at all.
rather enjoyed it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and I mean, it's dope. There's a lot of women out there that fit that like size profile, and like I don't know, I just don't understand. Like, there has to be a reason. The UFC is very like I feel like intentional. They're very good at what they do. I would just I can't imagine a reason why you would just neglect a weight class like that. Like, I mean, I don't get it at all. Like, they should have one fight per month. I mean, there's 3 to 4 cards per month. You can't put one women's featherweight fight per month and just slowly build the division. Like, you don't even have to do an infusion or some big drastic thing. Just one fight per month, maybe one contender series fight per month. Just slowly trickle in the talent.
Does it feel like a chicken and the egg thing to you? Like, the UFC wants more women to be at featherweight, but they don't promote them, so why would more women come? But they need the women to be attracted to a non-promoted division. So it's like, you guys have to start promoting it if you want women to show up. And if you'll promote it, the division can grow.
We need like a featherweight women's Jesus to just fall on the sword and just, you know what I mean? Because somebody's going to have to like cross the picket line. You know what I mean?
Like Holly Holm. If Holly Holm would be like, I'm not fighting bantamweight anymore. I only want to fight 45. Like, she could be a name that all these other girls could build their name off of potentially since she's toward the end of her career. There's plenty of those girls.
Yeah. I mean, she's fighting Manafuro next. Manafuro essentially is a featherweight. Like, don't say like it's a size thing. Like, you've had your run at bantamweight. Like, some of these older bantamweights that kind of have been plateaued at the top of the division for a while. Yeah, no, man, I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. I mean, we can keep it pushing because Chandler gets a performance of the night bonus in her debut, which the debuting fighters need the money more than anything. So love seeing bonuses go to debut fighters. That's dope. And we can keep it pushing to the next shovel of shit. I was
gonna say we'll just keep the spoons out, right? And we'll just keep them loaded full of shit for us. All my picks were so bad yesterday. As far as people at home that are concerned about it, you're probably not. Our college football picks looked like dog shit. All right, A&M sucked.
Hey, you nailed the Iowa-Michigan under though. That was dope.
By 1 point.
Yeah, no, but it was good. It was
like
good.
That Iowa garbage time touchdown was like, hey, can we chill out with all that bullshit?
Yeah, for sure. I thought the same thing. And then my dumbass just keeps betting OU because I'm the world's smartest man.
And then Penn State just decided to not show up. Oh, God, OU. I mean, Jesus Christ. It is just... I hope we lose 4 games or 5 games and we just get a full reset on how people feel about the... Because anyone that expected OU to be really good this year, that's pipe dream, right? Like, brand new coaching system and regime. Yeah. You kept one coach from the past group. We lost like 25 players in the portal. I mean,
I know the defense sucked yesterday, and call this a casual take if you want to. Gabriel is the worst OU quarterback we've had since like Nate Hibble or
Paul Thompson maybe.
It's been a long.
Trevor Knight. Him and Trevor Knight are actually they remind me of each other very
really
much.
Similar. I think Trevor Knight threw a prettier ball, dude. I don't know. Like, he could execute the simple plays. Like,
Gabriel's ball placement is trash.
So bad, like horrendously bad. Like, he missed throws that high school quarterbacks would make, like that my quarterbacks at OBU would make, like just easy. Like, anybody that with the name quarterback next to their name on a roster should be able to fucking do. And he's like above average athlete, but he's not athletic enough to be this trash. Like,
right, exactly right.
Like, literally top 2. Maybe if I'm being nice, top 3 worst quarterback at OU in my lifetime.
It's probably true, though.
I mean, we've been privileged with some really good quarterbacks, but I'm saying, like, it's hard for me to remember. And even the ones that I'm thinking about sucked, like, they had more success. So it's like, did they suck more? Like,
Nate Jones wasn't that bad. You know what I mean?
Like,
Sam Bradford, obviously very good.
Went to the Rose Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
like,
he only lost 2 games.
A run-heavy team. Yeah, dude, this guy fucking stinks. And then the corners have stunk for the past 10 years. So I'm kind of glad that like, chicken's coming home to roost. But
I don't understand why we can't play just... Why are we not putting on a guy to go win the play 101? Why is it always some soft zone bullshit scheme? Like, I don't mind playing man press, and if a dude gets beat and we give up a 70-yard touchdown, at least he knows he got beaten. It's his fault.
Yeah, no, it's bad, dude. It's bad. But we'll bring it back to the fights. I think we're just like both avoiding, or really me, kind of subconsciously avoiding eating my shit on my Jocko pick. We got Christoph Jocko minus 130, taking on Brandon Allen plus 100 in the middleweight division. I love me some Jocko. I bet it as a straight bet. I thought Brendan Allen hasn't looked super great lately. Beat a couple cans, lost to some pretty mid fighters, some good fighters. And Jocko, you know, he's fought some really tough guys. Has like a pretty impressive resume. I like Jocko just based off what we've seen lately. Jocko had a few moments. I guess he was on top for a little bit.
I mean, the first minute of the fight was Jocko's.
Yeah.
But as they alluded to, I think it was Felder was talking about how, and I surprisingly, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I did notice this was about to happen, was Jocko was pulling so hard against the lockdown on his back leg that it was almost obvious that Allen was going to try to literally do a full 360 sweep on, or 180 sweep on him when he let the lockdown go. Because you could see how he kept scooting it up, and trying to get over onto his knee. So as soon as he let his leg out, he knew he'd try to swing over, and then he would roll it, which is exactly what he did and got to top position through it.
Yeah, and then Allen exactly finds himself on top, and then they end up getting back to the feet. This was really more of a grappling fight than a striking fight, which I got to admit that, like, when I picked Jocko, I kind of pictured it more of a striking match.
I thought Jocko would be smart enough to avoid the grappling match more than anything.
Exactly. And so, I mean, credit to Brendan Allen for kind of, especially after having some mixed bag results, like getting the fight to where he needs, like where he's going to have success. I give him all the credit in the world for that. Looked great. Ends up getting his own takedown. And then, finds his way to the back, gets the rear naked choke. Jocko made him work for it a little bit, but
the way he got to the back was really impressive too, because he had Jocko's arm wrapped around his own neck, and he was holding that wrist back here, and essentially baited him into, if you keep your wrist here, I'll arm triangle you from the top, and if you want your wrist back, you're going to give me your back. So he was kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Jocko was. So credit to Allen for setting up that position so well.
High level on the mat, and I think that, he is still pretty young. Maybe he's learned a few things. Maybe he's got to humble it a little bit. Maybe not try to bang it out with these guys as much, and just
that would be so smart for him, man.
Yeah, because he has a path to victory. I mean, I'm not saying it's the best in the division, but you're not going to name me 8 middleweights with better grappling than Brendan Allen. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm saying that he has really good grappling for the division, and way more of a logical path to victory than striking in a striker heavy division, I guess is my point that I'm getting at.
Yeah, for sure. I just feel like his fight IQ is always lacking because he is so willing to try and stand up and strike with these guys, and then he gets hurt, and then he gets finished where he never gets to effectively grapple in the clear mindset.
100% agree. Well said for sure. And then 4 minutes, 17 seconds, first round sub, performance of the night for Brendan Allen. So I said we're every fight on the prelims got a bonus. Pretty wild if you think about it, which, good for these fighters. The guys on the prelims usually probably need the money more than the guys on the main card. So, happy for them.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, wait a minute. Okay, we'll get to it. So after this fight, or the next fight up...
Oh, you're right. I missed one. There is one fight that doesn't get a bonus. I see what you're talking about.
Okay, I was looking at it. I was like, wait, did he get a bonus? Because that fight was shitty.
Yeah, no doubt. But up next, we got Joaquim Silva, minus 135, fighting Jesse Ronson, plus 115 in the lightweight division. Fight, I still stand by the point. This is a fight that we were pretty harsh on. Why'd they make this matchup? And... not looking forward to it and all that in our preview.
I still stand by that.
Well, I feel you as far as it was a pointless fight, and it was a fight we didn't really, I don't feel learn anything from, or don't have much really to predict moving forward. However, the fight itself, inside the bells, was entertaining.
The first round was pretty awesome, honestly.
Exactly. Ronson was winning the majority of the first round, nothing crazy, some volume, some activity, some jabs, pretty snoozy, but Ronson was like leading the snooze. And then at the very end of the round, Silva throws a flying knee. It lands, gets the knockdown. I mean,
almost
a lot of
finished
damage. Him. Almost finished him. Clearly stole the round.
Okay, I fully agree. I said that's the prototype example of a round being stolen. Like Ronson, I thought won the very narrow, like maybe 55-45 as far as like percentage of the round won up to that point was probably Ronson on the feet. Slightly more aggressive, slightly more effective, but really not getting the most damage off. So when that shot does that much damage and he almost gets him out in the last 20 seconds, I mean, you just have to give that round to Silva.
100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah, I mean, 100%. That's like the textbook definition of how to steal a round. And then, I mean, after he got him hurt at the end of the round, like you could tell the damage like carried over to the second round. I mean, the second round, Silva was able to have a lot more success. I mean, he landed another one of those flying knees. He was letting them fly.
Man, you know what was setting up those knees though was. So he opened up the fight in orthodox, but then would switch to southpaw, or did that toward the end of the first round. He started landing that lead jab with his power hand, and it was like hurting Ronson. It was bringing his hands up and up and up to try and keep that hand up from the jab. Well, that's what opens that opening for the knee.
Nice. No, definitely. He was setting it up. And, I mean, you can tell he was setting it up because it's a fluke. I mean, lightning don't strike the same place twice. I mean,
he hit it the exact same way. Yeah.
Yes, which was proof it was, preconceived. It was technique. It was set up, as you said. Great point. Thanks for bringing that to the pod. And now let's talk about this late fucking stoppage. It was brutal.
Holy shit. Yeah, dude. I said that guy was given every chance on earth to defend himself, every chance in hell where he was living for the last 10 seconds.
Bro, I'll take it a step further. Okay, well, you took the words out of my mouth. I thought I was going to be alone on this one. I thought I was getting soft. I was like, dude, I mean, I wouldn't have hated it if they stopped it on the knee. Like, he dropped like a sack of potatoes, like completely limp, like crumpled to the ground.
Like eyes up, and then came to when he got hit the first time. And he didn't even defend. He just shelled his face. I mean, that is defending, but it's not intelligently defending.
No, it was. It was horrible. And then the ground and pound shots, now none of them were that ridiculous or that clean or that, but they just went on for like what? I mean, it felt like forever. It was probably a couple seconds, but it felt like an eternity.
Oddly enough, watching the replay in slow motion, it didn't look as bad as it looked live, but I think that's because when you watch him drop live, it's like a flash KO. Like he's out whenever he's out.
He's out. Like he should have ran in right then and like, I don't know. I thought it was a very late stoppage. It was old cigarette Keith.
It is Keith. Yep. He probably had a Traveler whiskey in the back.
Exactly. I commented from the Beefy Boys account on some, like they were talking about the stoppage or they showed the highlight and I put late stoppage was late AF with a bunch of cigarette emojis and it got a bunch of likes. People fucked with it. Yeah, no, it was late, man. And I mean, we're not usually the guys crying about late stoppages, but I mean, that was just unnecessary. The knee was plenty enough, especially because it was the second knee just like that. Like, we're trying to turn Jesse Ronson into Tua Tagovailoa over here. But,
I was going to say, you think Keith Peterson cleared Tua to play this last week?
The Dolphins are about to clear Jesse Ronson to come to the second round. But, it's brutal. I mean, whatever. Great win. The TKO comes 3 minutes and 8 seconds into the second round. I mean, Ronson put up a good fight in the first, but not in the second. He's like 37 years old. You predicted this would be his last fight. I don't hate that prediction. Silva gets performance of the night bonus. Good for him. I mean, he's good, man. I mean, he looked good. I mean, the record's a little salty. He's getting a little older. You can question the level of competition with Ronson, but I mean, he looked good. Because like I said, even when he was quote unquote losing the first round, it wasn't bad. Like he wasn't getting outclassed. He wasn't getting like beat up even like so.
And I really appreciated his fight IQ, like the ability to learn and adapt and figure out what was working and then stick with what was working.
And then set it up and go back to it. Yeah, no, for sure, man. And then, I mean, good performance from Silva. Like I said, I wasn't too kind to Silva in the preview show, but I'm not going to say anything. I don't really got nothing negative to say right now. He fought great, performed great, got a bonus, great knockout highlight. As far as what's next for him, I mean, that's where the conversation gets a little tough and like kind of gets into the who cares kind of territory,
especially
right?
at lightweight, you know.
At lightweight, there's so many lightweights I care about, and like I'm sorry, leave it in the comments how you feel about this statement, but like he's just not on the list of lightweights I care about, or like lightweights I'm like stoked to see fight next. Like,
what about like a Jim Miller type?
Yeah, you could always do the bet on vet fights, and I'm happy. That would be a fun fight to watch. It'd be a great matchup. You're right. I don't hate that. Like, if that's your answer, cool. But also, if that's not your answer, also cool. Which just sums up like how I feel about it. You know what I mean?
A slight level of disinterest.
Yeah, more than slight, for sure. Maybe that makes me an asshole. Who knows? But
more than slight, for sure.
This next fight, I was actually looking forward to. So
yeah, me too. Until it started. And I realized what was
until
happening.
It started, which I knew, but like it was also weird where like I kind of expected it too. You know what I mean? Like there was some scenario where we see something cool happen, but there was also a scenario where it looks like this, and we all knew it.
I also can't wait to address one of the weirdest post-fight speeches I've ever heard from Latifi here.
Yeah, we'll get to it for sure. We got Ilir Latifi minus 190. Fighting at heavyweight against Alexei Oleinik, like 60-16 record, like still one of my favorite MMA records of like it's so amazing. It's amazing.
It's so salty and it's so unreal. The guy has fought 77, now 78 professional fights in his lifetime.
But if you think about it, it's not that salty. Like the win percentage is still super high.
Oh, I just mean salty in the fact that you have 77 professional fights. Like that mileage is crazy.
But to only lose 16 of those, like you line up 70 men and win all but 16, like that.
Bro, you know who has a very similar record to his in ratio of percentage? Marvin Vettori, I believe, is 15-4. That's the same exact percentage.
That's what I'm saying. That percentage is really, really impressive.
Especially when you think about, we've seen probably 6 or 7 of those losses in the UFC, and probably like 6 or 7 wins. So the guy was like 53-9 before he came to the UFC.
That's so insane, man. This fight, wait, does it? You know what? You're gonna have to take the lead on this one, man. I think I literally was so snoozy that I stopped taking notes after the first round.
I got you. So you got Ilir Latifi at minus 190, Alexei Oleinik plus 160. Latifi got that early takedown in round 1, which I thought was a terrible position for him to elect to be in. Right?
Why would you want to be on the ground with Oleinik?
But Latifi is a pretty decorated Swedish wrestler. And wrestlers typically, if they get that top position, chest to chest, especially heavyweight, where you don't have that hip flexibility, the leg strength isn't as comparable over that upper mass of their body, because those dudes were some polar whites. Like, they were some Yetis, right?
Yes.
Like, especially Oleinik. Like, that dude's built like an actual Yeti. Like, kind of a weird lower body and then just like a lumbering shoulder build. Like, his shoulders are out to my elbows. It made no sense.
When Oleinik was like trying to like feint and like strike, I literally had to like hold down my lunch. It was the grossest thing. You would just like freeze, but it was like kind of supposed to be a feint, but it was like a freeze. Oh god,
man! So it was one of those rounds where like rounds 1 and 2 are almost identical, except Latifi does more damage with the elbows in round 2. That's the only difference.
Yeah, you're right.
He continued the same game plan throughout the entirety of the fight. And essentially, I thought dominated all 3 rounds, mostly the same way. The round 3 was more standing for sure until the very end. But man, Latifi fought smart, and that made it for a brutally boring fight.
Exactly, man. Yeah, it was boring. It was some names that we've heard of. It was some big guys. It could easily be both of their last fights, if we're being honest.
Latifi kind of alluded to that in his post-fight.
Yeah, and I think Latifi's fought like once a year for the past like 4, maybe even past 5 years. Well, so his career is definitely winding down. And then Oleinik, it's like the guy, who knows?
77 fights, any fight could be your last one.
Any fight can be your last one. Like any fight probably should be your last one.
Or hell, maybe he goes for just a solid 100. Who the fuck knows with a record like that? And I'm being dead serious when I say shit like that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
He is just like, I don't know, man. Like, it's so slow. He just does the one thing so well.
He's also 46.
46, exactly. Like, I think even Randy Couture stopped at, 47, 48?
Yeah, at what point does your body just deteriorate beyond the point of being able to do it? And he doesn't look fast in the octagon. He doesn't have a good takedown technique for the most part at this point. And if he doesn't have that and he's only really great on top in grappling, he's really not great on bottom. I mean, what's he have, you know?
No, I feel you. Like, yeah, fight was pretty boring. Latifi gets the win, right? What was it? Was it 30-27 or?
Yeah, 30-27, unanimous. Now, I do have a question. Latifi said that he had a staph infection on his leg. His whole leg was swollen up from it. Have you ever had a staph infection?
No, thankfully not.
So I've had two, one on my calf and one on my nose. The nose one sucked big time because the pain was like crazy because it's your nose. The calf, I was like 4th grade, didn't even know, literally like got it like popped off, like opened at recess, and like it was like bleeding down my leg and shit. And I was just like, well, that doesn't look like a normal pimple. So I showed it to my mom. We go to the hospital and the dude's like, wait, you popped this? And I was like, yeah, I guess. And he was like, did that hurt? And I was like, I didn't even know what happened. He was like, are you serious? Apparently that should be a very painful thing.
I've heard it's very painful.
I still have a little tiny small scar on my calf from it, but for some reason that one didn't hurt. They just cleaned it out, covered it, all good. But what happens if it stays is the area starts to swell, the whole place starts to get infected, right? The whole like area of the infection. So my point in saying that though is that Latifi had to have had that for 7 to 10 days beforehand for it to swell his whole leg at that point.
Yeah, and like, is it still contagious at that point?
Of course, yeah, for sure. And unless he's taking antibiotics and has a full 72 hours of antibiotics, but all fighters will tell you that they won't do that because antibiotics sap your cardio.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I was like, maybe the UFC should consider doing day of weigh-in skin checks.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer to me.
Because now Linux has to go and shower in like an antibacterial soap, and also probably take a cycle of antibiotics for 3 days just to be sure that the infection can't root.
Yeah, no, and that's fucked up to do to somebody for sure. Yeah, no, I'd totally be on board with skin check. That seems. I mean, it would also probably lead to more fights getting pulled, which is probably why the UFC doesn't do it. You know what I'm saying?
It's so weird because like staph infections can kill people.
Oh, it's definitely nothing to play with, man, for sure. I agree, man. And we can keep it pushing because, you know, what we have waiting for us is a whole lot more entertaining than what we just left behind.
I need to go find like a fucking flathead shovel for like snow because it needs to be that full of horse manure for my take on this fight. Now, granted, the way the first round opens and goes, we're not looking bad at all. We're looking pretty damn smart.
No, I was about to say, I don't even feel bad about my take on this fight. We got John Castaneda, minus 205. Daniel Santos, plus 175. Took place at a catchweight 140. We both loved us some Castaneda. Actually, not loved, liked. I mean, I don't think neither of us actually bet this fight. But we did pick Castaneda in our preview show.
I also felt rather confident in him. I wouldn't have had a problem betting him, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. We liked him a lot. And now in round one, I mean, I think we have like a David Onama, Nate Landwehr type situation in this fight, which is, like I said, even one more reason why I don't feel that bad about my pick. I mean, in round one, I mean, Castaneda, her wobble, dropped. Different people have these different definitions and terms and diction, but I mean, he drilled Santos' shit. Let's put it that way.
35 seconds straight.
Yeah, well, like 3 separate times he had him like wobbled or
kept re-wobbling him every time.
Yeah,
because he got on top after the first knockdown. Santos gets back up with a pretty nice like little kickoff and stands up, eats a jab and immediately falls back down. And it was like, he's definitely fucked up.
And then the head
survived. Kick. Oh yeah, the head kick is the
head kick was number 3. Dropped him with the head kick too, or wobbled him, or whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, he got a nut hair away from finishing him. Like, honestly, Santos, that might be a chin of the year contender, like dead ass.
And Santos finished the round really strong to, like, improve on that nomination for chin of the year.
Yes.
Like, Santos actually might have won the last 30 seconds of the round.
100%. And well, because I mean, Castaneda 100% shot his load, and just like you said,
could tell he was tired.
Like, is he wrong to? I mean, you drop a guy 3 times in a round. Like, shouldn't you kind of quote unquote go for the finish? Like, we'll see it in the Randy Brown fight when somebody doesn't go for the finish, and it almost cost them a fight.
Yeah,
You know, so
we're gonna get to that. That fight was very close,
I mean,
and it didn't need
I
to be.
don't think Castaneda did anything wrong, man. Actually, I think he did a whole lot right.
Yeah, and his chin was really good too until it wasn't, and it was a
yeah.
body like the body doesn't have a chin. You know what I'm saying?
So round one, you know, 10-9 Castaneda like all day. Now I will say, how do you drop somebody 3 times and it's not a 10-8? Proves to Santos recovery and activity in his own right.
Yeah, he was firing back the whole time. Like he did land some
100%.
counters on Castaneda, even when he was getting beat around the ring. It was pretty like they.
Well, it's impressive to get dropped 3 times and 10-8's not even in the conversation. Like that proves how much you were fighting back and recovering.
Right, and I didn't realize that he's out of shoot to box with Oliveira.
Yeah.
And like, he does look a lot like Oliveira in the way he fights.
You mean when he's getting dropped and then continuing to land shots, or just the blonde hair?
and then can't be taken out. Like in his little interview in the end, he talks about Bad Weather. That needs to be his nickname, Daniel Bad Weather Santos.
Oh, that is a good nickname for sure, man. And then so round two, you know, we're alluding to it. Santos is able to just get this tie clinch and just not let go of it, and just starts ripping knees to the body.
Oh man, the last one that he landed before the knee that came up to the chin. Oh.
Yeah, so he's ripping knees to the body, then he brings him up high to the chin, but just Castaneda could not break that tie clinch. It was one of the more, it's the second tie clinch, you know, made its appearance last night.
We're going to get to us eating the most shit possible, all based on the tie clinch a little later in the main card.
Yeah, tie clinch knees changed 2 fights on this card. Kind of an old school, I don't know if you want to say forgotten style, but you don't see it a ton in MMA nowadays, you know?
Yeah, because like you didn't see it before Anderson Silva did it to Rich Franklin for the most part. And then you saw it like a lot from like John Jones, guys like that.
Yeah.
And I think longer arm guys, like long reach guys, need to start utilizing that because they can reach their opponent's head when their opponent can barely just reach their chin.
Yeah. And Santos not the longest guy. I think he's actually the shorter guy, but just strong and just utilized the position to, you know, to his benefit. And was able to get the TKO 4 minutes and 28 seconds in. Just kind of out-cardioed him. You can say Castaneda shot his load. I'm glad this was fight of the night. I'm glad Castaneda got $50,000. I mean, this fight was fucking awesome.
Well, and you're right. I thought you said Santos, but yeah, they obviously both get $50,000.
Yeah, they both get $50,000. Yeah, Santos gets the win, plus 175 dog that neither of us saw cash in, so good to him. Yeah, 4 minutes, 28-second round TKO.
Great interview on the mic afterward too.
Great interview on the mic. Great chin. You know, I don't know, man. Bantamweight and featherweight are so just murderous, bro. It's so hard to like. But I mean, could this guy have success? Hell yeah, he could. Hell yeah, he could. Hell, you could do him versus Landwehr, just have a chin off, and just, you know, or I don't know if he usually fights at 35. This was a catch weight at 40, but
I think he is a 45er and just came down because I think he's Oliveira's training partner. So,
yeah, man, I don't know. Good on Santos. He's a tough son bitch. Tough night out. We'll see what happens moving forward, man. I don't know. Any final takes on the prelims? I mean, fire prelims. The bonuses speak for itself. Very entertaining.
Yeah, no doubt. Minus the Latifi fight, the prelims were awesome to watch. Just because it was just highlights after highlights.
Yeah, awesome to watch, not awesome to bet.
Yeah, because it was like upset. It was upset highlights too, which was crazy.
I mean, what is it? How many dogs won? We have one.
We got 1, 2, 3,
4 out of 6 dogs won.
That's pretty crazy. I mean,
by finish. I mean, that's lit. That's why we love it.
All by finish.
Yeah, that's sick. I mean, that's why the sport's awesome. You know, that's why it's hard to bet, but also my favorite sport to bet. I'll bet UFC over NFL football any day because, I mean, it's just less variables, right? Football, so many variables, 11 guys each side, 3 phases, coaching, all that shit. Betting MMA, you know, it's one guy versus one guy. I don't know. You don't have to factor in weather. Less variables to bet MMA, in my opinion, even though I still ate shit yesterday.
Yeah, it's weird, though, because like we always talk about, like, covering a spread is one thing. Winning a game on a Hail Mary is a whole different thing because you have to already be within the score. in fighting, it's not like the spread is over under, I guess. But even that's sketchy because any one action can end the fight.
Yeah, betting over unders, man. Even when you think you have one locked, your butthole still tightens up when that bell rings because anything can happen, which is why it's fun. It's also why you shouldn't bet anything that you can't afford to lose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, the second golden rule. But yeah, man, like I said, fun prelims. Like I said, and my overall impression of this card, this is how I'm going to sum it up. We talked a little bit about this before we went live, but just my expectations were super low, but they exceeded my expectations. Now, that still results in like mid, but my expectations were like dog shit, and it gave me mid, so I was stoked.
Yeah, no doubt, though. And then, I guess we can just keep pushing the main card if you want to.
Do you want? I was about to ask how you want to handle that. Do you want to end this one and start a new one, or do you want to just do one long one?
Yeah, let's go live with the main card. We'll end this one.
Okay.
We'll see you guys very shortly.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Check out some other videos on our channel. Hit subscribe, like this one, follow us on Twitter @Beefy Breakdown, and we'll be right back for this main card.